Okay, this week I got a couple of things. First of all, I've started a new site called lovedelusions.com. Basically, I wanted to, dispel some of the myths about love and dating and relationships that we assume to be correct, but they're not. So I wanted to, educate people on what really works when it comes to dating, or what really makes a relationship work. And really, it's also about understanding yourself and understanding your partner, because if you can better analyze and decode your partner and why they do certain things, then you'll have a better way to communicate with them because you understand them. So please check that out, my site lovedelusions.com. Now, on to today's topic. I recently received a question from Debbie on Facebook, and she says, I have been with my children's father for almost 12 years now. He did cheat, but yet we're still together, if you can call it that. I am just confused about what we are. He never made a comment with the other girl. He came back to me, but he doesn't consider us back together, even though we act like we are still a couple. I just want to know what this means, if anything. I think Debbie and a lot of women out there are failing to do something which I feel is very, very important as a woman to do in a relationship, which is you must set the standard for the relationship. What I mean by this is you have to tell the guy pretty much be straight away what you expect him to do, what you expect the standard to be, what you will put up with and what you won't put up with. The guy is going to look to you to see these things, like what can he get away with, okay? And if you don't set the standard early on in your relationship, or at all really, then he'll have free reign to do whatever he wants, whatever he pleases. And trust me, that's not a good thing, okay? A lot of guys don't really know what they want. They can be just as confused as women are about things. So in this instance, from the sound of it, this guy still feels an emotional tie with you. I mean, he's been with you for 12 years. Of course, he's going to still feel that connection and that familiarity with you, and because of all the time you've been together, or the history that you have. But clearly, this other woman also intrigues him, for whatever reason, maybe on different levels. Now, because you haven't set that standard and said, okay, you can't be with me unless there's no one else. Okay, it's me or nothing. Because you didn't say that to him, or at least said it clearly enough to him, then he's decided that, well, I'm going to have it both ways, at least. And he's actually been very upfront and honest with you about that fact, because he even tells you, we're not together. We're not together even though we act like a couple. And, the fact that he didn't tell the other girl means that, he's leaving that option open. Okay, so he's preparing you for the possibility that he could be seeing her, could be seeing other women, and there's nothing you can really say because you've allowed that to happen. Now, I guess he can just turn around and say, well, you knew what the deal was, so you shouldn't be surprised, okay? So this is what I mean, and it's so important. No matter what kind of relationship you're in, you have to set the boundaries, and it's best to do it early on in the relationship. So when you're first talking about each other about, how serious is this relationship? Are we exclusive? Are we, the status of the relationship? When you're having that talk, and that talk is really important, that's when you need to establish, this is what I expect, and I expect you to do this, okay? This is the standard he needs to be on. So as long as you make that clear, so I would say have a talk with him, sit down with him, say it firmly, but don't come across as demanding or threatening. Okay, just be firm. Just tell him what you want, what you expect. And if he doesn't like those terms, if he's uncertain, if he wants to argue with you and say, okay, if you tell him, if you're going to be with me, then it's me and that's it. I will not accept anything else. And he hesitates and goes, yeah, but and it comes up with all these excuses and whatever to try to make you feel guilty, like, don't buy any of that stuff. But stand firm with what you want and what you expect, okay? Because, he needs to conform to that. So if he can't for whatever reason do what you expect him to do, and in that moment he might rebel against you, that's okay. Pull away and make sure there's that distance there, physical distance there, so he knows there's a very clear boundary set. Okay, if he's not willing to do this, then there's a boundary, and he can't cross that at all at any point. I guess the difficult part is maintaining that consistency, that standard, because if he tries to cross that line, then you need to very quickly say, no, you can't cross that line. If he kind of cave in every now and then once again, he's not going to take that boundary seriously. And you need to make sure he does. Okay, so as long as you do that, and you have that space between you and him, then he has no choice but to make a firm decision about who he wants to be with. Whether he makes that decision actively and actually tells you, he wants to be with you, or he's not, or through his lack of action. So if he's just stopped contacting you altogether and gone to see this other woman, then he's made that choice. He's made the choice to be with her. Now, at least you won't be strung along as the other woman for God knows how long while he tries to make up his mind. You'll already be giving him that pressure to decide right then and there. Okay, so that's pretty much about it. So remember, set your standard, be firm, tell the guy what you want, what you expect, because that's your job. He's looking to you to set that standard. And then try to stick with that, stay consistent with that. And if he decides he wants to be with you with those standards, then great. That's how it should be. If not, then you have to just let him go and find a guy who will, appreciate you and be compatible with you on that level. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this week. Please don't forget to check out my new site, lovedelusions.com. And I'll be back with more videos and information next week. Thanks.